um, statistics of the guests that show up. So out of 10 years, I think only one or two has not shown up, which is a good ratio to have, you know.
No, it definitely is. Now to and I also know you guys get cosplay guests as well. What's it been like
Yeah.
having cosplay guests
Well, we love
uh from
cosplayers.
Gym
I mean,
State?
cosplayers is the cornerstone of any convention, and we do everything that we can for the cosplayers. You know what I mean? We want to make them comfortable. We want to make sure they have a good time. The cosplay guests we have, we want to treat them just as good as we treat all other guests.
Today's Cosplay Con Talk episode is sponsored by Moco Queen Color Contacts. Don't forget to use my code Wayne for 10% off at checkout at mocoqueen.com. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
How's everyone? Wayne the Known here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk. We basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. I am here once again joined by owner of Colossus Girl Entertainment, Dave Haworth, who you've seen on here about a few couple times now, both in the convention discussions and in the convention showcase. This time, we're going to be doing a quick convention discussion and a recap of their main con. If I'm not mistaken, Gym State is the main one, correct?
They're all the main one.
All the well, we're finally going to be talking about their Idaho Con, Gym State Comic Con. Again,
Yes.
Dave, thank you again for coming back on and everything. And yeah,
Thank you for having me.
oh, of course. So, for those who may not be familiar with Gym State, mind letting everyone know at home how long it's been going on for and what made you choose Idaho for a con.
It's been going on 6 years now, and when we wanted to do one in Boise, there was no other events here, and we thought the community needed an event. We never go into a city or an area where there's already an event. We find places where there is no events, and then we go ahead and create an event there. And usually, our events are very successful. And then what happens is you have people who then come in and try to do events. So,
I
so
don't think I've ever heard of a Boise convention prior to Gym State. I mean, if I
yeah, and
have,
now, yeah, and now we have Gem State was the only one, and now I think we have five.
we
So,
got,
um,
let's see,
but
Tri Cities, Beaver State, Anna
there's nothing,
Medford,
yeah, right.
Metal
There's
Arc, and then
nothing.
Silver Age.
Yeah, there was nothing in Reno before Silver Age. There was nothing in Medford, nothing in Bend, nothing in Tri Cities, and we give those communities something that they don't have. And instead of flying to L.A. or New York or Chicago or these bigger cities or even Portland, you can write home right in your area, and and that's what we do. And we improve the community, the resources, the jobs, everything stays in that community. And we hope our goal is just not to bring a show, but to improve the community as a whole, outside of the realm of pop culture, but as a whole. And every place we go, the community improves greatly, specifically the pop culture community. And
Oh yeah, no, I believe it.
now, and now you have people who from Medford, who may have forever passes, or in Reno, they go to Boise, they go to Reno, they go to all the different shows with their forever passes, and people all hang out together. It just becomes one big happy family.
Good old multipass.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And still not many conventions do it. But something we like to offer, and it's a good thing. It builds community.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. So when you and Marina first did Gym State in Boise, what was it like 6 years ago?
Well, 6 years ago, it was just one building, and we do what we do for all our places, and it just exploded. We weren't expecting 10,000 people to show up for one building, you know. And then the second year, we got another building because we needed more room. And then that year, both buildings were filled up. I mean, it was just crazy. And then we say, well, what do we do now? Well, let's go for this year. We went for a third building in the sixth year, and it filled up again. And all we're trying to do is give people some elbow room to have more space, to have fun and not so crowded. And every year just gets bigger and bigger. And now we have the whole facility. So the only thing we can do next is to build giant tents outside and build giant tent cities, and that's how big it's gotten. Last weekend was Gem State. It's the only Comic Con in Idaho still. I mean, you do have an anime con out here, and who we have been helping out, and then you have a bunch of shows from other states that try to come in and they just can't emulate. And this year we had over 50,000 last weekend, over 50,000 people. Yeah.
It seems like Boise's going to need like a convention center.
Well, and and they do need a convention center, but you know, in Medford there was no real facility except for the expo in Medford.
Oh yeah, Rogue X, which is
Yeah.
which.
Yeah.
I mean, they're right now. They're in the midst of building another sports center in Central Point, right next to the Family Fun Center.
Right. But we lobbied and we worked hard to get that Rogue X built and to get something in there that is modern, and I'm glad they were listening to us and the hard work paid off, because now, Meadowlark has a home and Anna Medford has a home, and that's a good thing, because, conventions, San Diego Comic-Con will tell you that there's 3 rules for a Comic-Con to be official. You have to have at least 2 actor guests, two professional artist guests, and it has to be inside of a nice building, and that's an official Comic-Con at the minimal.
Oh.
And that's by San Diego standards, and they kind of laid out that rule when they first started in the 60s,
Oh yeah, I mean,
or you and I
they're
do anything.
now they're a big con. I mean,
Right.
even if you can't afford to go inside, because I've been told by quite a few buddies of mine who've gone that it's pretty much a lottery system getting into San Diego Comic Con, but there's always stuff outside to do.
Right. But a lot of times people can't get in, so they ghost it,
Mm-hmm.
out front. And but no, it's been really good, and all the communities are great. One day, it'd be great to get Medford up to 50,000 people.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would love to see that, especially like you said with Gem State. I mean, to me, I know like all cons are the main ones, but like Gem State, I mean, from the people I've seen there, the guests, the attendees and everything, like I know that's what you and Marina are also trying to do over in these other places. From like, I mean, this year you got people, you had like Ray Park from Star Wars, Bonnie Wright from Harry Potter, James Gunn's brother Sean Gunn, who's been in so many things like in the past like 20 years.
Right.
And then what's his name from Gilmore Girls too?
Right, and that's what we tell everybody, from Tri-Cities, Reno, Medford, all those. We say, if you come to the show and support it, we'll bring bigger guests, and that's the thing, is you have to support the show if you want to see these bigger actors. In Reno, we have Adam Baldwin, who's huge. So Reno is almost right up there with Gem State, which is exciting. But also for Meadowlark, we're getting we have 2 great actors. One of them is, you have to see her. She's in the new Superman movie.
I saw that, and like when I saw you guys posting, I'm like, you guys are gonna make my job that day a whole lot more interesting with interviews.
And the thing is, she had just told us she signed for a show and a movie that's going to bring her up to mega stardom. So um, this is the only time she's going to come into Oregon, because after this year she'll be too expensive to bring to Oregon.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
You have to
get
see her.
her, get her while you can before these San Diego Comic Con, New York, or L.A. get a hold of her.
Right, and so the big thing is support your con and come out and support it, so we can bring the bigger actors out.
So, back to Gym State. What was it like? So, where exactly is Gym State at in Boise? I know you said it many times before, but I always forget.
It's at Expo, Idaho.
So, how big is that place? Especially from what I've seen in your guys' live, where there's look like a bunch of people outside, and then pictures from what I've seen, like Floyd and them share.
Yeah, well, the outside is just where the food trucks are. What you saw was thousands of people patronizing the food trucks.
I mean, food trucks are the best thing to have because
Right.
you're doing
And
all that walking around. You're gonna need something to eat.
yeah, I think we had like 15 food trucks, and each food truck was a 2-hour wait to order something. It was massive.
Jeez.
It was massive.
I
Yeah,
mean, if there's no restaurants nearby, food trucks the way to go.
yeah. Well, there's plenty of restaurants, but people want to stay in the venue. They want to
Oh
stay
yeah.
on, you know. And there's so much stuff going on, and people hanging out and talking and doing photo shoots. There's so much. What you think is going on is happening, and then some. It's uh, you walk through there and you're like, I can't believe what's going on. Everything's going on at one time. It's all at the same time, and sometimes it's hard to concentrate. You know.
No, and the one thing about your guys' conventions, like you deliver. There are a bunch of cons that will do all this stuff, and then and I'm not trying to bash any cons. They'll make all these promises, and you get there, and next thing you know, it's like, where's the thing you said that was gonna happen?
Right. You have to, when you say something, you have to deliver it. You can't go
Hmm.
back on your word. And the whole thing is, we want people to have a good time. And when we say something, it's always a promise, and we always want to deliver it to people so they can have a good time.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I know with the cons you guys have, if a guest cancels or something happens, you guys find a way to fix that
Hmm.
to make up for it.
Right. And there's not much you can do, and it's not any show's fault for
Hmm.
for a guest canceling, but there are so many things why a guest can cancel. It can be some personal reasons. It could be, they just ended up getting a work, and a show or movie or something or whatever it is. And a lot of people don't understand, actors, they don't have a job unless they're acting in something, and then they have a job. But once that is over, once that role is over, they don't have a job anymore. They don't have a promise of another job tomorrow. So a lot of
Right.
actors, it's if they get offered a job, they have to take it.
Oh yeah, no, and the thing is, even with conventions in general, when you have stuff going on, if something happens, every convention is going to have something happen. It's just a matter of if it can be controlled, if it can be taken care of. But again, it's not everything goes planned for a convention. It's just a matter of how it's initially handled in the
Right,
best way possible.
right. And we have a 99% um, statistics of the guests that show up. So out of 10 years, I think only one or two has not shown up. Which is a good ratio to have. You know.
No, no, it definitely is. Now and I also know you guys get cosplay guests as well. What's it been like
Yeah.
having cosplay guests
Well, we love
uh, from
cosplayers.
Gym
I mean,
State?
cosplayers is the cornerstone of any convention, and we do everything that we can for the cosplayers. You know what I mean? We want to make them comfortable. We want to make sure they have a good time. The cosplay guests we have, we want to treat them just as good as we treat all other guests. Um, and just make sure they're taken care of. And the cosplayers who attend, we want to make sure they're having a good time and also taken care of. So, yeah, if you don't have cosplayers, and if you don't have things for cosplayers, you're missing a big portion of the event. You have to have cosplayers, and you have to have events and things going on for them as well.
Whether it be panels, judging, hosting the cosplay contest, and, being at their booth signing stuff. Like, you want to make sure not only are the guests, but the attendees are also like taken care of as well. So they're not like, oh, this place is boring, and we're just going to go do something else kind of thing. You want to keep their interest. I know it's not always easy keeping people's interest for events and everything.
Right. You always need things for people to do, even if they're not cosplayers. That's why you have a lot of like we had the manga library at Anna Medford, and you have movies, and you have different things. This year, Tomb Room is doing the cosplay contest, but they also have a craft area room where you can make swords and helmets and all kinds of different cool things, animal ears, and they're going to be at every single event.
Nice. And then you also got Distance Nerding as well, which is like the podcast for your guys' cons, which if anyone hasn't checked them out, I highly recommend checking out Distance Nerding too.
Yeah, Distance Nerding has been with us now, I think, yes, maybe 6 years.
Since 2020, since 2022, I believe. Yeah, no, 20. Yeah, they've been with you guys since 2020. Well, from what I've seen, I know they've been like I remember seeing them for the first time in 2022. Yeah, you guys were at the old when you guys were at the Josephine County Fairgrounds.
Right. And Josephine County Fairgrounds, we always are happy that we were there, and that was kind of our holding pattern for COVID. After COVID, because so much happened. The Ramada, closed, and then COVID happened, and a lot of things went on. So we were happy for them to have it there while we can. And 10, we waited until Rogue X was built. That's basically what they were there for.
Now, Gem State has been at the same location since the beginning, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's that been like? I know it's not always trying to keep locations the same, but what's it been like having Gem State at the same location since the beginning?
Well, you get to know the staff of the venue. I can't say that attendees familiarize themselves with the place because every year it's a different floor. We change things up a bit. You never want to do the same thing over and over again because then it becomes stale. You never want the same vendors every year at the exact same location. You always want to mix it up, fresh, make it new. And I think it's one of the secrets of coming back every year. But it's good that people who put up the pipe and drape, people with the tables and the chairs, that they're familiar with the venue and they know where things are and they can get it. And every year it just gets easier and easier. The hardest year is always the first year.
I believe it. Nope. You said the hardest year is always the first year?
Yes.
What was it like for your guys' first year, especially just in one building for Gem State?
Well, we thought, hey, we're going to do this show. Right now it's 300 plus tables of vendors, exhibitors, right? First year is about 150. And we thought, we're going to put on a good show, first year show. And, we're going to get maybe 2,000-3,000 people. That was what was expected. But it ended up being a little over 10,000 people or so. And we weren't prepared for it.
I mean, you have that many. Well, I also think it's just because, a lot of, like, when people know that a place that's never had a convention has a convention, they also want to go somewhere, because not everyone can afford to travel hours or pay this much for a plane ticket to go to, like, these big cons. So, like, when they hear, oh, hey, there's a con in my area, I want to go check it out.
Right. And it's a good thing if they've been to a good a convention, and then they see a convention in their hometown and they go to it and they think it's good. That's a good thing. What is not a good thing, we're talking convention business at this point, but when someone goes to just a show with 65 tables, no guests. It's just really bad. And then you go and you do a really good show, but those people look at it and say, I've already been to one of those. It wasn't very good, so I'm not going. And then that
No.
hurts and that taints the industry,
Oh yeah,
So
no. I mean,
you always want to make sure that it's always good. And you always want to make sure if you're doing a show to make sure you're bringing your best.
oh yeah, no. I wholeheartedly agree. Like I know, like for example, like when it's like a Sunday, it's like the Sunday, the last day of the con. Not there's not gonna be a whole lot of people because they got church or work or something. But then like as soon as church ends, they just like as soon as they have their church, the breakfast, and then they come, it's like wow, it's a lot of people.
Right. Right. And there's some good shows. Kimura Khan, who are friends of ours.
I can't wait to go
Um,
back again this year for
yeah,
that one.
they do a great show, but our focus. A lot of it is on bringing anime guests. We usually have about 6 or so guests, and
Hmm.
they're very light on guests. Usually, Anna Medford has more guests than they do because they more focus on um, the event aspect of breakout rooms and doing different things. People can do different things and decide on different things to do. You know, in regards to like project making and things like that. And even the vendor hall, it's not the biggest, but it's not really focused on vendor hall or celebrities. It's focused on hanging out and things to do with your friends and things like that. And we try to bring as much as we can to that as well. But even though Rogue X is new, it's still limited. It's not like Medford still needs a convention center
Oh
at the end of
yeah.
you know.
I mean, I would love to see a convention center here in Medford. I mean, when I went to KimuraCon in 2023, I was everywhere. I interviewed at least 8, 7. I interviewed quite a bit, I guess, because having to walk from the convention center all the way to the hotel and back and forth, like I didn't mind it. It was fun. I'm looking forward to doing it again.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and speaking of guests, I gotta ask you, and you feel free to answer this. How did you guys get someone like Sean Gunn, Ray Park, Bonnie Wright? I can't remember his name, but he was also in Gilmore Girls, and then that
Scott
anime voice
Patterson.
actor.
Scott Patterson.
Yeah.
Um, it's about contacting their agents and negotiating, you know, to get them out there, and it's difficult. I mean, to put on a good show, it should take you a year to organize it. You know, um, and by the time you're done organizing it, it's time for the show. You know, um, Sean Gunn, we got pretty lucky. He's very laid back, really cool guy, nice guy, and he likes to go to places he's never been before. And we thought, well, what he wants is reasonable, and so we said, let's bring him out. And it kind of works like that sometimes, but a lot of times it's a lot of negotiating, and it's about crunching numbers with the agents and things like this, and requirements and things that they want and things that you want, and a lot goes into it.
I believe, and he's a pretty busy guy too.
He is well. He's going to also be in Superman.
Oh
So
yeah, Maxwell Lord. Yeah, I've seen that. I'm just like the fact that you guys got him, the fact that you guys are getting another actor from the movie, and then
yeah,
people like Ray Park and Bonnie Wright, they're clear across, from different countries. So I can't imagine it was like trying to get them over here to the states.
it's expensive to bring someone from like the UK. And they all have to be on first class flights. It runs anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000 just for the flight. So
Jeez.
yeah, it's
I
not
mean,
easy.
I was looking at plane tickets for the heck of it to see how much it would cost from here to Gem State for potentially next year, and it ranges anywhere from $400 to $500 with like a 1 hour layover.
It depends. I always recommend Alaska Airlines.
That's
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking into for
Oh,
future
really?
for Washington Con in the future.
Yeah. What you do is, you take it from, Medford to Seattle, then Seattle to Boise. So,
Oh, yeah.
so we also have a special contract with Alaska, so we get a bit of a special deal because we're booking 30, 40, 50 flights a year. So it's a lot of people because we bring in all the actors, all the artists, all that. They all fly
Yeah.
in. So
I mean, yeah, from like the cons you guys run, yeah, your average, I know, like cost wise, yeah, it's going to be very expensive to get these people. Compare it to flying them from one state to another. I mean, it's expensive, but not as expensive as like flying them from like one country to over here because that's a very long flight.
right. My battery saver is on for my computer. I don't know how it might be cutting out. Do you want to see if I can find the plug-in?
Yeah, I can pause it.
Hold on, hold on. Computer was going to go like
Oh
haywire.
yeah, no, we're recording
All
resumed.
right, so we're good now.
So now, what are the cosplay guests you got for this year? Were they local or were they like from somewhere else?
Um, some were local, some were from Salt Lake City.
Oh, that's right,
A
because
lot,
Utah's like, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Salt Lake City cosplayers are coming more out west now. So, um, even we've had some want to come to Reno. Some have expressed interest to come to Medford. So
I
and
mean,
if you
I
have,
know. Well, sorry, what was that?
if you have a good cosplayer who wants to be a guest, we fly them out. We give them hotel rooms. They just need to ask, but they have to
Oh,
be like professional cosplayers. But yeah, we do that.
oh, I didn't. Okay, well, that's good to know that they just have to ask. Okay, because I
Yeah,
know some people are always want because I know, especially those cosplayers who have who are professional where they they have a big following on social media. I know
right.
they're wanting to branch out, but that's good to know. Just like just have them ask you guys for any cosplayer who's watching.
Yeah, you know what? There's nothing wrong with asking. The worst that can happen is someone can say no, right? So,
hmm
um, so ask.
I mean,
If
no, I
it's a
mean,
yes, it's a yes, and if it's a no, it's no. Who cares?
I
Whatever.
mean, I just know, especially like over here when trying to get, there's a pretty big convention scene up here, but like I know when it's like trying to get people out of, out of town or out of state, that's a big drive for them because we're at the as I call it, and this is not poking fun at men, but we're like at the ass end of Oregon down here, so to speak. We're like, I mean, we're in middle, but like
Right. I know. Well, yeah.
and not many people know of Medford too.
Right. But that's why we're there.
And
That's why we're there.
that's why I'm always happy to know if you guys are always looking for cosplay guests for over here. I'm always happy to spread the word.
Right. I mean, we spend a lot of our time at our house in Christmas Valley. So we're Oregonians, and you think about you being at the ass end of Oregon. Christmas Valley is in the middle of nowhere, Oregon. You know,
hmm
it's I think it's less than 300 people
Yeah,
in
no,
that,
I've seen what Christmas Valley looks like. It's like a middle of nowhere desert type town.
but it's quiet and it's nice, and I
Oh yeah,
like
no.
peace. But you know, uh, but that's why we're there because of that. If everyone thought of Medford as, oh, you don't want to go there, there's nothing there, whatever, um, you know, it just there would be no show there, and that's why we have a show there.
I mean, you'd be surprised. Medford has been expanding lately and they've been building a lot of hotels lately.
Mhm.
They're trying to expand, get more people to come down. That's why we're in Central Point, right near where I work. They're building another like sports center place right next to the expo.
Well, you need. I think it's growing, and that's good in a way. I'm an environmentalist, so I don't like the growth of cities, and I don't like the growth of population.
hmm
But for business, it's a good thing, and also because of Crater Lake is not so far away, it makes it a good hub for tourists to go up to Crater Lake, which is a
Oh, yeah.
bonus for Medford. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I've been to Crater Lake, and I gotta say it's like it's a really nice place to visit.
Oh, I love it there. Yeah, it's great.
Let's see what else here. And so you guys already announced for next year for Gym State, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a 3-day show now. It's
Oh, 3 day show! Wow. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, you guys are like okay. So you guys are like up there with like the other cons now who are doing it. Man, that's gonna like if whenever you guys start having that for the other conventions, that's gonna make. I mean, it makes sense. You guys are growing. You guys are expanding. You're like, all right, let's do what these other big cons are doing. Let's have it a 3 day con instead of It's good to start out with 1 day, see how it goes. If it goes well, then 2 days. And since Gym State, I mean, with the amount of people you get, the amount of guests you get, the amount of stuff you have going on, like 3 days. And I know people like 3 day cons too.
You have to because the people demand it.
Oh,
People wanted 3 days. The vendors wanted 3 days. For us to be able to get bigger celebrities than what we had this year, and you mentioned them earlier, but if we want to get people like Ewan McGregor or people like that, you have to go 3 days because they have to have enough
hmm
time to be able to sign enough autographs.
Oh yeah, and that gives people a chance to have that day zero where they come in the day before con to like dress up, get whatever they need, do whatever they need to do, and be ready for day one.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait for you guys to start do that down here in Medford, Reno, you know, up in Bend and Washington. But I know, like Gym State and Meadowlark and Medford are probably close to getting 3 days soon too.
Um, well, yeah. Well, you will be able to know by the quality of actors that we get,
Oh, and
and
I've noticed like the quality of actors you guys have been getting for Meadowlark and Medford. Like,
yeah, this year is really good. I
oh, I
think,
mean, if anyone's seen the list on Medford and Meadowlark, well, not Medford yet because I know that hasn't been announced yet, but like for Meadowlark, I've seen like your guys' guesses, like you
yeah.
got some like Mortal Kombat characters from like DC
Oh my God.
universe who've
Yeah.
been in this other stuff. Like, all right, it's gonna keep. I mean, and plus your guys' like guest list has been like the amount of guests you've been getting has been expanding as well, which is like standard for a convention.
And Joey, who was in Chasing Amy and Kevin Smith films, you know, she's great, and I'm happy that we're bringing her to Medford because Medford deserves to get bigger and bigger every year. But for us to do that, you have to go to the event. If you don't
Oh
go to
yeah,
the event,
no.
you're not going to do it. You know what I
And I
mean?
know people can always, get a hold of you guys too. I mean, I mean there are special guest actors that have been that I've talked to on the channel, and they've like told me when I've mentioned that if they've ever been to a convention down here, it's like no, it's like well, I may know some people. I mean, give me your asking them if their contact info first, and then let you guys know because I know you guys always book guests in advance too, especially because I know cons are known for booking guests in advance too.
Yeah, James State was last weekend, and we have half the guests already booked for next year.
Oh damn.
Yeah, and I'll say this: two of them are coming from England, and that's all I can say.
I mean, I know, I no, I completely understand. The whole NDA thing and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I'm fully familiar with that. There was some cons like Komori Con in 2023 when they announced Johnny Young Bosch that was coming in 2024. Everyone, like, you could hear the whole room just yelling and screaming and cheering.
Yeah, and he's a big name. Yeah, he's a big name in VOA for sure.
Oh yeah, him, like, oh yeah, no, definitely, and also Power Rangers as well.
Yeah.
I guess the last question, because I always ask you this, what advice would you want to give to someone who wants to start their very first convention?
I said, well, don't do it in an area where we're doing it. It makes no sense. So you have to find a place that is not having a convention, and you have to find that niche. Um, like you know, over in Salem. You know, our friend up there, Steve, does a show out there in Salem, and no one was doing a show there, and he said, "Well, I want to do one. That's my niche right there in Salem, Oregon." And like you don't want to go to Portland. Oh, Portland already has enough.
Portland has got Retro Gaming Expo. You got Rose City. You got KamoriCon. You got Wasabi. You had
Right,
Hisu. You have like
right,
more than I can count on my fingers
right.
almost.
And we do not go into areas where there's already a convention because that would be disrespectful to that convention. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
we play by old school rules. If we go into a place where there's a convention, we ask them first and get their permission. I don't believe in going into someone else's refrigerator without asking.
Mm-hmm.
It's just out of respect, right?
No,
And
pretty much. I agree. Like what you said with about getting someone like Bruce Campbell. You don't want to, shit where you eat, so to speak.
right, right, right. And to start a con, really, minimum you need 20 grand in the war chest to start off to do a good event. And that's basically how you start. And you have to find a proper venue and sign those contracts, and then you have to start doing the dirty work and getting in the trenches of negotiating contracts and making sure you have the tables and chairs and pipe and drape and a lot of those things that actually Southern Oregon lacks. It's very difficult for us to get tables and chairs because the quality is just not there.
I mean, with Rogue X, they provided those folding chairs.
Right. They had some good ones, but then we had to bring in third parties. So, you had to negotiate with them. So, just getting the venue is just the beginning. And then you have all these other things you have to do. Like people don't realize that every single chair and table for an event, I pay for those. Every single thing you see is paid for. The show has to pay for those to rent them or whatever. And so you have to be prepared you just can't get a venue and say, okay, I'm doing a show. You really have to prepare yourself at least 20 grand.
Do your research too, and like
research.
For example, go to other conventions and see how they do.
Right, but you also have to do research and development on the community. What's the community? What's their likes, dislikes? What are the fan base? Where do they stand on that? Like Reno is hardcore Star Wars, right? But Bedford is hardcore anime.
Oh, yeah.
But so each community is different, completely different. So you have to gauge that.
Oh no! If I learned anything about living in Oregon, the two main draws are anime and gaming.
Right, anime and gaming, and you have to kind of understand those communities before doing a show. So do a lot of research. Marina. She has a master's in business and economics. I have over 20 years of entrepreneur experience. So, we kind of been through these things, but in different types of businesses and things like that, where someone who's never tried to do a show or never owned a business may have trouble, I would say just go to shows and volunteer and try to see how things are done as best as possible, and and learn first. You have to learn, kind of like if you want to open up an ice cream shop, get a job at Baskin Robbins for a while. So
don't do like what half these people do, like of a show Kitchen Nightmares, where it's like, oh, I've never owned a restaurant before, but I have the money for it. It's like, you have the money, but you need the experience as well.
Yeah, you have to know what you're doing. Money is only going to get you in the door. It's only going to get you in the door, but you need to have the knowledge and the experience to go the rest of the way. And for us, a lot of people will try to do a show and just make quick money, and it fails every time.
I've seen my fair share of that in conventions in other states. I'm hearing how all these conventions are coming to light about how shady and just how not great they are.
Right, and it's not about money when you're doing a show, and you have to remember that. Like someone, I think you've even asked me, why do you do these events? And I point to the kid in the Spider-Man outfit with the mask off, and he's just smiling and he's happy. That's why you do a show. That is why you do a convention, so people can have a great time and have memories. And we focus on doing it for the long haul. We want Metal Arc and Medford, all these Beaver State Comic Con, to be continually to go for the next 20, 30 years, just not for 1 or 2 years. We want it to span generations.
Oh yeah, and look at all these. Look at San Diego Comic Con. That con's been going on for a very long time.
Right, right. And to us, that's the best way to do it. Do it for the people, the fans, and go for the longevity, not for the quickness.
No, and I can't wait to see how you guys do for 3 days next year
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
For
Yeah.
Gym State. Oh yeah, I also forgot to ask for anyone who's interested in being an artist or vendor. What do you guys charge for Gym State for someone who wants to vend and booth at the con?
I can't tell you because the prices just went up because it's 3 day. But
Oh right, oh right. The more days, the more. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think for 3 days, it's still less than 200.
That's honestly not bad.
That is extremely inexpensive.
Especially for 3 days, because sometimes some cons will charge like 400 or 500 for 3 days.
We have artists and vendors that go to Gem State and they make 20 grand in 3 days. So it's not a bad deal.
No. Well, I think that should do it. Again, Dave, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, and come to Beaver State Comic Con.
Oh yeah, Beaver State.
First.
Yeah, well, I sadly won't be able to go because I have, preparing for Metal Art Comic Con, and I'm saving up for PTO for that. But
yes, and in Bend, Oregon, it's second year, and it's going to be an amazing show. So you got to get out there and support it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Well, again, Dave, thank you for coming on. Oh yeah, where can people find you guys on social media if they want to stay up to date with all the cons and everything? I forgot to ask that.
Well, support the con that's near you. So if you're in Bend, it's going to be Beaver State Comic Con on Facebook or the website or Instagram. And for all those other shows as well, just type in the name of the event and like the Facebook, like the Instagram. Check the websites for all the scheduling and paneling and all of that stuff, and actors that are going to be coming and announcements. That's where you definitely want to go.
Yeah, definitely follow them. I highly recommend. I think that should do it. As always, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.